All right, well, we can focus on 4 strategies that I think will serve you well and address all the concerns that you've expressed today in terms of vocabulary and informal assessment and assessing higher order thinking skills and comprehension. One of the first that comes to mind would be the preview-review strategy.
What is the preview-review strategy?
Preview-review tends to be a strategy that's used, and I loved it. I used it quite often as a teacher in bilingual classroom settings. And in that type of setting, one would introduce concepts in the student's native language, which in my particular case was working with Spanish speakers. So I would introduce the material in Spanish and then deliver my instruction after that in English, and assessment would also be in English. And then at the end, I would do some type of wrap-up or closure in their native language. And so we're going to adapt that preview-review strategy to work with your material and the level of knowledge and English proficiency of your students. What we can do for that specifically would be, it's going to take a little bit of planning on your part and a little bit of work on the student's part as well prior to you delivering the lesson. You will need to find some materials in the student's native language that they could use to preview the material that you plan to introduce. And so you'll just want to ensure that the vocabulary and the concepts that you're covering are covered in that material. I know that there are free websites where they solve problems and introduce vocabulary, and sometimes even there's instructional PowerPoints and things like that that are available for free. Do you think you might be able to have access to some of those materials?
I think so. With teaching checking accounts and bank reconciliations, those are universal concepts, so I'm sure I could probably find them in a variety of different languages.
Okay, that'll be great. And you can provide those on a one-on-one basis with your students or in small group instruction. You could either do this formally with them and introduce them to the materials that you've acquired, or you can actually have them preview them on their own prior to you delivering the lesson. Do you think this might work?
Absolutely. I'm actually thinking of some different ideas right now, and I think not only will this help with comprehension, but it'll probably also create some interest about the topic.
You're exactly right, and that's what we want to do. I think this strategy is going to not only have a cognitive benefit, but it'll also have an affective benefit, in that your students will feel more comfortable with the material coming in. They may even feel that they're a little bit of ahead, maybe for the first time, than their peers because they've had exposure to the material. And so that's going to set them up for success and give them a little bit more confidence in that area, and probably will create an interest for them. In preparation for his class, Christopher found resources in Spanish that covered the class topic so that Maria, his student, could preview them prior to the session. This strategy is called preview-review. Preview-review is effective in facilitating content knowledge acquisition because it reduces the language demand of learning new content. It allows students to review material in the home language to assure content understanding. The lesson is then taught in English. The same strategy can be adapted to English-only classrooms with the use of realia, visuals, gestures, and vocabulary instruction as part of the preview. A teacher would refer to the supporting materials during the actual lesson and then review and explain the content of the lesson to the students using supporting materials.